Hey guys, this is Rough Stuff Podcast number 9. I'm Garett, Rough Stuff CEO. I got Zack, the president here.
Hey.
And I got Morgan, who's part of sales and head of sponsorship program.
Howdy.
And Mr. Daniel Vance, our lead welder. What's up?
How you doing?
Cool. Well, this podcast, we're going to talk about King of the Hammers. We just got back. And Zack, why don't you tell us what it is and what we're doing at Hammers, what Rough Stuff does at Hammers.
So if for some reason you're not familiar with it, King of the Hammers is definitely the hardest American off-road race. It is a mix of high-speed desert and extreme rock crawling all in one go. Was it like 250 miles this year, somewhere around there? It's pretty long.
Pretty long laps this year.
Pretty long course, yeah.
3 laps?
And 3 laps, yeah, something like that. And so what we do at Rough Stuff is we come out there and we provide the Rough Stuff open pit, which is where anybody in need, racers, spectators, rangers, staff, whatever, need any kind of help. We provide 100% free welding support and repair of all kinds of varieties. Lots of different fixes out there.
And this was our 10th year, right?
Yeah, it was our 10th year. So it was our 11th year of going and our 10th year of running the Rough Stuff open pit. And it's actually correspond with our 14th anniversary of being in business as well. It's a pretty cool year.
Hell yeah. Well, as far as going down there, it takes a lot of preparation, right? So I know Daniel, you did all the prep for welding, right?
Yes.
So what took place there?
Tore everything apart from last year.
How long, when did you start?
I started 2 weeks before.
Okay.
And in between doing side projects and that, it was about 2 weeks straight and getting a lot of last minute help, getting it all together. A lot of preparation on the Lincoln generators, the LN25s, getting all of our tools from DeWalt, getting all those organized, setting up with Megan at IMS for all the metal, getting fire extinguishers, getting the trailers prepped, adding new things to the trailers, new tools.
New tires on trucks and trailers from Milestar.
It was quite a bit.
What DeWalt send us? I saw a few things, but obviously impacts and some drills, but what else did they get us?
They sent us 4.5 inch grinders, 2 6-inch grinders, 2 cordless drills, 4 half-inch impacts, one of them that is Bluetooth that Caleb likes to turn off on you while you're trying to use it.
How's the Bluetooth work?
Sets up onto his phone on an app from DeWalt. And
it's like a theft thing, right?
Yeah, so if you walk 20 feet away from it with your phone, you can't use it. So if you're 20 feet away, it'll shut off automatically if you do the settings. Or you could be in the middle of torquing down something and Caleb will just turn it off. So... and they sent us a lot of abrasives. I think they sent us 40 something flap wheels and 20, 30 cutoff wheels, and used the heck out of all of them. They're pretty scattered all over the place. A lot of worn out ones, and yeah.
I mean, personally, I was really stoked on the DeWalt hardware this year. We smoked several Harbor Freight grinders, which is what they're good for. They're like Dixie cups. You use them and throw them away. But the DeWalt stuff, I had no problems all week long, all day, every day, using the wheels and the grinders. So I had a good experience with those things, and I use all DeWalt stuff at home. So
yeah, it was definitely a lifesaver and something we didn't have to worry about down there. Also, everything from Lincoln Electric, everybody got to use their brand new Viking helmets that are pretty sweet.
Pretty badass, huh?
They're pretty awesome. I like the grind mode on the side. It's pretty nice.
Yeah, and I think this year, as far as the efficiency of the LNs, the prep paid off. There's just everything. The generators ran smooth. The wire boxes didn't give us any issues. I think this was our most efficient year, and just very little problems. And that's why it blew by so quickly. To me at least, it felt like we unloaded Sunday night, and the next day we packed up and left, and it was already Friday. Because the fixes, going hard all day long, and just working like that just makes the time go by really quickly.
So what was so you guys drove down? Did you guys have repairs the first day, or
We left a little late out of here. Dan, who's usually early, is actually the one who missed his alarm and fell asleep this year.
Morgan, who's normally late, was actually early. So.
Yeah, that was pretty great.
You're driving all the way from like Galt, though, normally, right?
Yeah, I was coming up from Galt to Loomis, like 56 miles. And the funny thing is, on the way up there's a broken pallet in the middle of the road. So I got, CHP traffic brake. So he swayed all over the freeway and slowed everybody down. And I'm like, man, I'm going to be late again this year. Better call Zack. But I still was on time. So,
dude, last year I forgot my sleeping bag.
Oh yeah.
Well, luckily,
yeah,
like
that's right.
I lived close enough where we just went home and got it.
Jet home. Yeah.
So, as far as getting down there, so you guys left at like what 4 or 5 a.m. like normal from Loomis?
I think we did. Yeah, we left about 5 a.m. this year and got smooth down there. I slept the whole ride. So
it was a smooth haul. Everything went really well.
Trailers did great. Trucks did great.
No issue on trailer. Everything kind of going back to like good prep. Even getting the trailers loaded up right really made a huge difference. Not having a single issue the whole way, which is pretty sweet.
That's dope.
Yeah.
And then, what time did you guys get there?
It had to be about 4:35 in the afternoon, somewhere in there.
Yeah, just late enough for the wind to start kicking up as we were setting up and got all the trailers situated, which was, it's always
its own little project.
Exactly, it's always its own little things, which is a little more difficult this year, but got it all done, got all the easy up set up just in time for the 60-mile-an-hour winds to come through and force us to take it all down again.
I heard this morning, but I heard they got busted up pretty good.
Yeah, we had them all staked down. A big 10x20 easy up got nice and folded, and that takes some force to do that.
You said there was people attached to it, Zack, right?
Yeah, wasn't there? Was it you and
me and Owen?
You and Owen. Yeah, got lifted off the ground.
We were trying to put it down.
That's amazing.
Afterwards. Yeah,
that's with stakes in. I mean, the wind was crazy, and so we got there. We got all our easy ups, kind of started getting them in place, getting them dialed in. Just started driving, the stakes into the ground, which is a huge pain in the ass because it's pretty hard pack out there. And then the winds come and literally start picking our guys up off the ground, which is pretty wild. Probably the windiest we've ever had to deal with, at least myself.
Yeah, we've never had any destroyed easy ups yet.
No, it was like 2 or 3 brackets on them broken off of like the actual main supports and stuff. I mean, they were falling apart. The guys at the Gambler 500, they got really tore up though. Their booth was completely shredded into pieces.
I think it broke 4 or 5 feet off our easy up.
Yeah, it did.
All of them were cracked.
Yeah, and the leg completely blew apart. Yeah, it was a mess.
Wow.
I was laying in bed watching PRP's tent get destroyed and watching all their stuff fly out of their tent. It was pretty crazy.
Yeah, that wind was just unbelievable, man.
And we thought it was going to be last year we had some pretty decent wind and chills all week long, and I was like, all right, here we go again. We're going to have this all week long. It's nearly impossible to weld in that stuff without help holding the welding blanket or whatnot to shield the gas, but it actually turned out to be a pretty, there's a couple windy days and whatnot, but nothing like last year, and had some great weather. And, obviously towards the end of the week, it started warming up, and I had, nothing bad to say about the weather this year. We weren't working on a big puddle in the middle of our work area like last year.
Yeah.
Hey, that was pretty nice to throw hot metal in, though.
Yeah.
We normally have people waiting for us when we get down there. Was that the case this year too, or
we had people? No vehicles were in our area waiting for us when we got there, but we had people who were like, "Oh, glad you're here. I'll see you guys in the morning." We were anticipated, and they were looking forward to seeing us.
I know years in the past, sometimes there's just like a vehicle parked in our booth that has like last year I think there was a sign, or 2 years there was a sign on it saying it's broken, can you fix me?
My first year we showed up and there's this he's actually local to us. I've seen him here in our office, and they show up. It's this pretty built YJ buggy, and ripped the upper link bracket off of the axle, so the third link was just torn off. The axle had twisted, and I can't remember if the pinion was either pointed at the ground or at the engine, but it was not going the right way. And that was actually my first fix down at KOH 3 or 4 years ago. I lose track, but I still see him. He's still rocking our fix from 3 or 4 years ago on his rig. Most people we fix, they'll go cut it off, but a lot of the stuff we do down there is meant to go back out and beat it again.
Serious fixes.
I was going to say, I feel like that's a pretty common theme. Like people come back, I'm still running the fix from last year.
And I was like, you weren't supposed to do that. But
you see a guy like 2 or 3 times, he pretty much rebuilt his entire link system. That's happened a couple times. You're like, oh, that's from 4 years ago. This is from 2 years ago. And now I've destroyed all this and I need complete help.
There was a 4Runner. Morgan welded the front hanger on How many times?
Yeah, typical Toyota fix that I see down there, or at least on a couple rigs, and I see the same thing happen every year. So if you're at home and you're building a Toyota, make sure to gusset and plate this area extra, is the frame likes to crack almost all the way around, right where the spring hanger and steering box meet. You know, obviously they're not connected, but that frame rail that is right between them will tend to rip off because you've just got forces pulling the frame each way. And that's something I fix every single year. And the one Daniel's mentioning was I fixed it with a couple years ago, fixed this one guy's 4Runner. He's actually from up here in the Forest Hill area, I think. And I said, all right, you know, it's plated. It'll get you through the week. Go ahead and, you know, cut it all off and, you know, get some better plate work that's more professional when you get home, you know. And he shows up next year, he had cracked off the other side. And, the side that I had fixed was still there. And I was like, dude, I told you to. He's like, no, it's fine. You know, I'm still running it. It hasn't cracked anymore.
So you played it from like from the front of the frame to the back of the steering box, I guess.
Obviously plating the frame. Personally, I overkill everything. So you want to do like the whole front frame roll all the way back to at least the cab mount by your pedals. But you know, it mainly just gussets on the spring hangers as well.
There's a lot of twisting motion going up there,
Yeah,
sure.
so this year, you know, it's tough to get in there because there's a body mount right there too, so it's cleaning up the metal as best you can.
Yeah, you're tucked up in that thing.
Yeah, and then...
power steering leaks.
Well, yeah, that too, you got to fight cleaning that metal off, and then, you know, welding the crack on the frame and drilling holes in it as best you can, but then just throwing gusset after gusset at it to make sure, and kind of reading the metal. It's like, all right, which way is this tearing, and where do I need to put the gusset to stop that?
So on the first day, it wasn't like super busy. Did you guys get to go out and play or anything that night, or was it just like too cold and sucked?
Oh, the backstory is I had the fractured heel from a skiing accident 3 weeks prior to this, and I was like, no, I still have to go to Hammer, so I'm walking around on the balls of my feet all day. And then I actually didn't go out. I went out with a couple buddies to backdoor one night, but everybody else got to take the Razor. I didn't even do anything with the Razor this year. I kind of took it easy and drank beer at camp most evenings, but Daniel's probably got some adventures with Mike Greco.
Oh yeah, we did quite a few trips. Experienced a lot of Johnson Valley. It made it all better once I had all my buddies out there. They were all in their Razors. My two buddies, Cody and AJ. We went. Zack found a residential place. We came pretty close to the residential place. Found a gun range. Went on the backside of some mountain that we started going and going. Next thing you know, we're like, okay, we really need to turn back. Couldn't find our tracks. And just kept going. Then somehow ended up at Chocolate Thunder on the backside. Everybody partying, almost got hit by a rig. That was fun.
I was cleaning out my garage this last weekend, and I thought my GPS was either stolen or lost, and I found it. So I think we should put that on the Razor.
Oh, your old Lowrance one?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. That thing was awesome, man.
Yeah.
That's got some good trips in it,
Well,
too.
it saved my butt at Hammers because, especially when, it's nighttime, there's not a lot of people driving around. You can't see where you came back from. It, it has, that trail. It keeps track of, where you went.
Yeah.
So it'll literally, save your life.
Yep.
Yeah, that's one of the good and the bad parts of being out there wheeling around, especially in something like a side-by-side where you can cover a lot of distances. You can hit, one mountain range, and all of a sudden you turn around, there's no lights, and you're by yourself. And you can't tell which way, you get turned around real quick.
Dude, even in my Toyota, it was like that, where you just be cruising along in a slow, not very fast, 10 to 20 miles an hour. And you're just cruising, exploring at night, because nighttime is when we get to go play out there, and you pretty much get lost. But so first night, did you guys go play out with the Razor or anything?
No, I don't think so at all. I think first night. Oh, you did?
Yeah, I took the Razor out every night but one night. Mike and I did.
That's probably the night I took it out.
No, you took it out almost as...
Is that when the belt blew? Because you guys blew up the belt, right?
Oh, I did not blow up the belt. I was not a part of that. I'm proud to say that. It didn't blow up on me.
No, yeah, Wolf blew a belt taking Michael out, and that was outside of the gates.
It was, yeah,
Wasn't
it was
it?
right up.
I mean,
it
it was
was 100 feet from our camp.
Yeah, he sheared that thing apart.
Yeah, check engine light went on, bang, popped.
Yeah. No, first night, I pretty much just stayed inside the trailer. Out of all the years I've been down there, I think it's the most I've stayed in the trailer. I mean, it was windy. It was cold.
I hate the
cold,
wind.
windy.
I'll stay inside all week.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Mike and I did go out, and we couldn't see anything at all. We were going, we had all the light bars on, nothing. Couldn't see a thing outside of that, outside of our helmets. We ended up going like 5-10 miles an hour all the way back from Chocolate Thunder. It was pretty crazy. And the nicest thing about that Razor is our rugged radio air cleaner thing, whatever. Our air conditioner.
Spectacular, man. That's so badass.
Yeah, and we're just sitting there talking, like thinking that we had that, but it was other than that, it was pretty bad. We were going like 5 miles an hour. We were cruising. Oh yeah, that was the night Caleb got caught in the pits with his 110. And we're like, you don't have a pit pass. You can't be in here. Had to circle our way through there.
Yeah.
No, it was.
They've gotten pretty strict over the few years because, just
everybody going
pretty
in there.
loosey-goosey out there.
So day one, pretty straightforward. Day two, wow.
Actually a lot busier than I anticipated, just because this year they changed up the schedule. A lot of what I'm used to doing down there is helping the UTV guys pass tech, and that's building bumpers that stretch X amount of inches past the tires and are a certain amount of inches wide. I don't know the rules, but they tell me when they bring the Razor in or whatnot. They put the race on Sunday for the UTV, so we were a little scared that we were going to be really slow, not seeing those guys because they were all headed out on Sunday as we were coming in.
It happened last year, I think, too. I think we thought the same thing, honestly, but it was
Yeah, and then there was we were a little worried about that, but no, like I said before, we didn't skip a beat. It was just rigs coming in and out, sometimes lined up down the road a little bit, just like waiting to get in, and because we didn't bring down as many people this year as we had in the past, as far as hands on deck and doing all that fab work. It was just 4 guys all the time on. You'd kind of start one job, and Dan would bring you 2 others that you'd kind of try and not get frustrated and handle these 2 little ones real quick, like a tack here and a gusset there, just to get those guys out of your hair so you can finish the plating frame you need to do. Like you're always multitasking and doing 3 or 4 jobs at once. Yeah, or at least that's how this week ran for us.
Yeah, I don't remember what job it was. Dan came up, hey, can you tack this real quick? Dude hands me this thing, and it took like over an hour to do. And it was like, yeah, Dan. So I just stopped the project to do a 1-minute tack.
Can you do this real quick?
Real quick, yeah.
Real quick.
Hey, that's what we get with just fabrication work. Everybody's like, oh, it's just a real quick job. Yeah. Dude, the metal's not even prepped. Come on.
Yeah. So day 2 was Monday. Yeah. So you guys were pretty slammed. It sounds like, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, definitely coming in big waves too. It seemed like we get a little dead moment, and then all of a sudden it was like, okay, here's 10 cars in one go.
The other thing that happened on the first night stay, I can't remember if it was the first night stay or the second one. So we're kind of at the, people who have seen our pit down there will know, but in Hammertown, we're kind of at the end of a T intersection, so to speak. We're right between PSC, which have been great neighbors to us down in Hammertown for the last couple of years, and Fox. Another Fox. So, the security guard down there in the little 3-wheeled cart was taking the right turn right by us, and all of a sudden the wheel just breaks and stuffs into the fender, and the thing just won't go anywhere, and the belt's just screeching, and basically whatever radius rods or whatever they're set up on had sheared, and just gave this thing an insane amount of negative camber and just shoved the wheel into the CVT pulley. And that thing was just going nowhere. And
that's funny.
Yeah, so that was actually the first one lined up for the next morning.
That's because, they're over there looking at this thing, and they're just paid by the hour, just there to make sure people don't steal stuff. And they don't have any experience in the off-road anything. They're looking at this like, dude, this cart's made for the mall parking lot. I don't know what we're doing with it out here. And I'm just over there, and, we'd had a couple beers. I was like, yeah, just pull it over our pit, and we'll push it across. And we basically pushed it across the street, and we left it there overnight. And, that was my first fix the next morning. Well, basically made a radius rod for it and sleeved it and put it all back together. And it's ready for the mall parking lots and cruised around for the rest of the week. So I got it running, and, yeah, they were stoked.
That's awesome. Yeah. First fix golf cart.
Yep.
I always see down there is the Ford, those Ford knuckles. Yeah, did you guys?
Daniel used a stick welder and stuck a couple knuckles together for sure.
I think Greco did a knuckle
too.
No,
Mike did. Yeah, Mike went crazy.
Did he do both of them, or did you not do any this year?
5-6 passes.
I did one, I think. Dude, I'm not gonna lie. KOH was the biggest blur with how fast it went.
That's what I've been telling people.
I'm trying to remember fixes, and I can't remember much off the top of my head.
It was that fast. You're just moving and welding the next thing and welding the next thing and welding the next thing. All of a sudden, you don't even know what you did for the last hour. It's just been an hour.
It was more like we wake up, go out there, turn the generators on, fill them with fuel, and next thing you know, Owen's trying to feed us food, telling him, like, hey, leave us alone, like, trying to get something done.
Did the guy from Logging, he just come by with that roll cage you guys fixed that last year?
No, that dude's so funny. Tyson? No, it wasn't Tyson.
No, it's
can't remember.
I don't remember his name.
Super funny guy with with the Yamaha.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that was a nightmare last year. That was such a crazy fix. Had all those pre-bends, thank the Lord.
Yeah, those have been great. And then I know Caleb did a pretty decent job doing a similar cage repair.
Yep, on
a race car.
Oh yeah, follows him on Instagram. He was like, "Holy crap, I know who you are."
Yeah, sleeved it. Yeah, very nice work. And yeah, Caleb. This is Caleb's first year. He is here today with us on the podcast, but his first year, and he absolutely killed it. So
killed it.
Yeah, just didn't skip a beat. Knows how to fabricate. Went right to it and just put out some amazing work down on the lake bed. It's really cool to see some of these rigs come in, and I'm not trying to trash talk anybody's work, but Caleb's putting out work down there that looks better than shop quality, and it's being done on the lake bed with a generator.
Well, that WJ with our 9-inch housings,
I think that was his first fix.
I think
the
that
upper
was,
3-link mount.
It took like half a day, and he worked out.
You would think he's in a real shop doing that. I mean, it's such clean fab work.
Oh, it was the rear 4-link. It was triangulation 4-link that just ripped.
Hold that bracket.
I think the whole belly pin or something ripped out of the frame.
No, it was only the top bracket, but it ripped the bracket so bad he couldn't reuse it, and you couldn't get a welder up in there, so he had to make a new plate, and it was a nightmare. I think it took him like 6 hours to even
completely
figure
rebuilt that thing.
Yeah, to get the geometry back to what it was supposed to be, so it didn't rip off again. Or I think he actually fixed the geometry so it wouldn't rip off. He was taking measurement. Like, yeah, the kid's that smart to do it in the lake bed.
And how didn't he just turn like 20 or something?
Yeah,
Today's his birthday.
He's not even able. Yeah, he's 20
Caleb.
today. He wasn't. Yeah, still not able to drink.
So Monday, Tuesday comes along, same thing, just blur.
Yep.
Fixes, pump fixes.
Yeah, I think we busted out the stick welder a few times. That's about it.
Yeah.
But it was like we were knocking out jobs so fast that we didn't even have all 4 generators running all day.
Did you guys get a count of how many vehicles we did?
Oh man, I don't know. I haven't counted up the waivers signed yet.
Oh, we should have done that.
I made so many guys re-sign after going in there 4 or 5 times. There was one race team that was like, "Hey, we need this bracket. We need this bracket."
Oh, that's right. They kept bringing by templates. This team Daniel's talking about, we saw them consistently throughout the week, and they needed this and that. And
yeah, they had a brand new car. I think they got the brand new car a week before KOH.
They're straight up not having a good time.
There was like a post I saw on Instagram that was like, I think Zack posted it. It was like a sway bar, and it was like, I think someone did it, and I think it was you, Morgan, that had to be like offset or jogged or it broke or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
And as soon as I saw that, I messaged Zack, and I was like, hey, make sure he puts a piece of flat bar on the top to make sure it doesn't bend side to side. Cause
yeah.
On that.
Yeah, it was an anti-rack bar that this guy had twisted and cracked basically down the majority of it, and was about to tear off. So he brought the arm in and ended up cleaning it up, giving the crack a bevel and welding it up, and then actually using the vise the vise, the plasma, basically cut this nice overlay that went over the whole thing and bent it in the vise to go with the contour of the sway bar arm, and I was came out nice, and it ain't going anywhere.
Yeah, in the past I used to like take a piece of flat bar and put it on top of that arm to make it kind of like an I-beam or like just give it some lateral support, and that would generally help it hold out.
Yeah, there was a lot. That plasma cutter got used a lot more this year than I think it did last year. I think we were adding more than we ever have, cutting out more brackets. We went through a lot of steel.
Was Amada there this year or no?
Amada was not out there.
Oh, that's probably why we were doing a lot more.
They were like laser cutting for us the last 2 years.
Yeah, past 2 years with the laser support was pretty spectacular, but we made it work with what we got.
Yeah, and we still had, we still brought gussets and stuff back. It's funny because I pack all of the parts we bring as far as the gussets we pull off the shelves, various rod ends and tube adapters and misalignments and whatnot. And no matter what I pack, it's not enough. We can't bring the whole warehouse with us, but This year, I went a little overkill on the gussets, and they paid off. It was like, I need something for this. Here's a 90-degree gusset, and it allowed us to turn out the jobs a little bit quicker. Certain ones, where we didn't have to make some intricate piece with the plasma.
When did the wind die down? Was it when it wasn't windy all week, right?
No,
or was it?
On Monday we did have some wind, but it wasn't bad.
Yeah, I think by lunchtime Monday it died down.
Yeah, the worst was definitely within the first 3 hours of us being there. Pretty much, as soon as the sun went down, it just it started getting gnarly. I mean, it was bad. And then not bad. Yeah, little spurts of wind here and there, little spurts of cold. Then actually started getting warmer by the end of the week.
Yeah, nobody liked me.
I got pretty sunburned actually.
I got really burned. Yeah,
it was pretty funny. Greco was orange. It would take you in his sun.
Yeah, it did. He looked like he got a spray tan down there. It was hilarious. He was all sweaty, greasy, but orange at the same time. So,
yeah, it was
good look for him.
What was it? Thursday. It started getting hotter, and it was terrible. It was getting hot, and I was like, man, I can't wait for the wind to come back. And everyone yelled at me, and then it came back, and I was pretty happy.
Who was the crew this year? Who went down?
It was Morgan, Mike Greco, Caleb, and me.
And then, as far as the welders, and then we had Zack, Dan, and then Owen. Your father was our cook.
Yep, and then Greco works for Rock and Road Performance.
Yeah.
For Greg, he was on
Greg's
I think it's third podcast or something like that.
Yeah, it's always nice to have Mike down there. He's one of the boys, one of our guys, even though he just works 100 yards away.
And he's still up in our shop for a while.
Yeah.
Every day comes
Team
up.
every day.
Every day.
Yeah, very lucky to be able to bring down such a kick-ass team of dudes that are, they know their shit. You guys, it's all dudes.
And this year, really, the camaraderie was just, we had a fucking awesome team.
Yeah.
It was absolutely fantastic. Everybody worked well together. There was no fighting over tools, as nobody likes fighting over tools. It sounds childish, but like down on the lake bed, it's when you're fighting over the one good Harbor Freight grinder that you just used, and you set down for 30 seconds while you go to fit your gusset you just cut, and you need to trim a little bit more, and you turn around, that sucker's gone. And your buddy's already got a wire wheel on it, 20 feet away, and you're like, all right, well, I'll just wait. But this year, no, we were set.
Yeah, that stress can magnify down there, huh? Because it's just everyone's tired, everyone's been working their butt off. It's windy.
I feel like it starts multiplying too, especially later in the week. Little things become bigger issues faster and faster. But this year, man, with the kick-ass attitudes and just a good, humble crew, I feel like we didn't have 90% of the little issues and bickering that we normally have.
Yeah. The other stress that's a little added that really thinks about is just the fact that we're right there in Hammertown. We're a couple doors down from King. We're a couple doors down from STHQ. This is like the touristy area where people are just walking through, the vendors and whatnot, and we'll get a crowd because people are just walking by, and we'll stop and drink their beer and watch us work, as well as the guy whose rig we're working on and his 7 buddies that are waiting for it to get fixed. And you got this whole crowd of people.
They're getting hammered drunk by that.
And
they're
everybody's
for like 3
got
hours. They're like 10 chrome sodas deep, and
everybody's got an opinion, of course, on how you should be doing it. And then you got the 3 other guys that are chapping you on the shoulder, say, "Hey, man, I got this thing really fit, real quick." And it's like, "All right, man, what you got?" But I've got a line,
Yeah,
there's a couple times. I think that had to be close to like 50, 60 people crowded up just watching. Mm-hmm. There's a couple times where I was like, "Wow, this is like we got a TV set going right now."
Well, Dan was actually a part of a short documentary.
Really?
Yeah,
that was pretty funny.
A little bit of inside joke. Tell me about that. What was that?
Hey, what is it about?
Okay. So
they're all really short.
Yeah. So Dan, I'm peeking over. I'm looking because some dude has a video camera right on Dan's face. I just didn't expect that. We're sitting there looking at him. Dan's laughing, and he's doing everything he can to hold as much back as he can. And he walks up to me. He goes, "You're never gonna believe what just happened." These people under 5'4" are just like, "I got a short documentary I'm doing. Would you like to be a part of it?" And that's all he could think of was their size. And it was the funniest thing in the world to him.
It was like
and he just,
7 or 8 people, just a hair over 5 foot tall, doing a short documentary.
That's also a pun, Dan, in case you're listening.
I was just going to say that is like a pun. And you always get him with like different puns, and he hates it. And now I think you've got him hooked on puns.
Yeah, it's funny. It's funny because he hates him so much, and then he'll say something, and I'll point it out, and he just hates what he just said.
Yeah, right before he was going to bed, we got him all pissed off. I was like, "Hey, Dan, you want an orange to go or something?"
Oh yeah, well some guy. We get all sorts of various tips down there, and I think this year
Is that where that crate of
one of
oranges
the
came
gifts
from?
was
Yeah.
a crate of oranges, and
Those were good.
yeah, they were great.
Really
No,
good
they were
oranges.
very good. Burst of energy and whatnot. We use them, but God, he had had enough of one day, and he was going to bed super early.
I think it was our last day.
It might have been our actually
It was
might have
our
been.
last day.
Yeah, last night down there, and he's about ready to go to bed, and I like stopped and like, hey Dan, he goes, what? I'm like, aren't you glad you aren't going to hear any more puns from me tonight? And it's just like the boxes right
Slams
there.
trailer door in your
Yeah,
face.
it's like shut the hell up.
And then I went in right behind Morgan. Morgan told me what to say because I can't think of puns. So
And
he
the
just
funniest
got
part is,
all pissed.
well, you just got all the funniest part was Dan goes in there with this joke that I just told him to get Dan Fredrickson
Senior.
one more time, and he's cracking up at what just happened, so he can't even say it straight. And as far as what Mr. Fredrickson heard, Dan Vance just walks in there and goes, orange, and like runs out.
yeah, he told me. Yeah, he was pretty upset with me. He wanted me the heck out of that trailer. He didn't want to see me the rest of the night. A little of an inside joke.
Dan's funny. He hates he thinks pranks are like hilarious, but unless they're done to him.
Oh yeah.
Like
Oh,
he
yeah,
gets
he's
so
really not
frustrated.
into that.
So if
Yeah.
you got any good zingers for Dan when you see him, go hit him up with that.
Hey, he loves puns. Tell him some puns.
Yeah.
Tell him Morgan sent you.
What was
So anyway,
I think Dan's favorite part of the whole trip is his free hot dog day.
That's what I was going to ask you.
I was
When
gonna
was
say-
the hot dog day?
So that was Wednesday.
Wednesday, okay.
Yeah. But yeah.
and Dan's just trying to put a hot dog in every hand that walks by. You look hungry.
Oh, he's
Yeah.
yelling at people 100 feet away.
check
There's
two, probably,
people that
right?
don't even speak English, and he's yelling at them, and they're looking at him like he's crazy. He's shaking a hot dog at him. But yeah, we killed probably 450, 500 hot dogs, hour and a half.
Yeah,
Just anybody walking by.
Yeah, there was some kid kid with his mom, and it was in a stroller, and he hands the kid 2 hot dogs, thinking he's gonna eat these 2 hot dogs. Maybe a year old. He's like, what? He's like, take a hot dog. You know what? Take 2.
Yeah, that was pretty good. It's always nice to be able to get back to awesome off-road community we have. Free repairs, free hot
Yeah,
dogs,
just-
whatever you can do, right?
Just great people.
Did you guys do the rugged thing the same day, or was that
Yeah.
a different day?
So that was the day we wrapped all our rugged gear. For those that don't know, Rugged Radios supplies us communications gear and a bunch of swag, stuff like that. Keeps us in the loop out there.
for both the warehouse here too.
Yeah.
We use it. We use those radios here around our complex as well as down on the lake bed. So
Yeah, we were very fortunate to be able to work with them, and yeah, so that was our rugged day. Yeah, repping all the gear, and
So you guys just wear like t-shirts and stuff, or whatever,
Yeah.
hats and all that stuff. Yeah.
Pretty sure I wore my beanie every night.
oh yeah,
So that was pretty
It's cold
nice
as hell.
because I always forget it, and thank God they sent us one.
Yeah, we had a lot of good support this year from our sponsors. The big one definitely Lincoln Electric. They make it really possible for us to be able to do this with the Rangers and the LN boxes and everything else. I'm sure you have something to say about that, Daniel. You seem to be the biggest Lincoln fan out of all of us.
Yeah, I mean, I eat, sleep, drink, weld, and whatever. I just Mickey really hooks it up.
Yeah.
He's
Last few years you've just emailed them or called them, right, and talked to Mickey and.
You pretty much managed that all by yourself the past couple of years, right, Dan?
the last 2 years. I met Mickey at a Weld Expo
As an advanced motorsports
Yeah,
welding seminar. that
the
they put
seminar.
on,
Yeah, it was a seminar, and spent a lot of time talking to him when he took us out to the Punch Bowl Social, and I spent a lot of time talking to him and really got to know him. And what they do for us it just doesn't happen. Nobody else does what they do for us, and we like to rep them as best we can. We got banners, stickers. They sent us 30 banners or whatever. We started giving them away, and there's so many, and they do a lot for all of our consumables, everything. We didn't have a single piece of welding equipment out there that didn't have their name on it. So it was a big deal, and a lot of people got to run all their machines and all that stuff. And next year they're planning on bringing their film guys out and doing a big video. So everyone should swing by next year and check it out.
It's pretty badass because, we don't get paid to do this by anybody. We actually pay quite a bit to go do all these crazy adventures, and be able to get support like that is pretty monumental because the equipment's top of the line. It kicks ass.
we would not be able to do it without it.
Thoroughly
Like, plain and
I was
simple.
gonna say it'd be so. I mean, it's expensive to go, like Zach said, but it'd be. I mean, those generators are how much are each stand?
Around $6,000,
And then the LNs are
probably around 2.
yeah.
And then all the wire consumables, the jackets, the $400 helmets. It doesn't stop. And I mean, not just because they help us out so much, but in my personal opinion, they're the best company out there in the welding world, and they really hook it up.
Did you tour the facility when you went to the?
Oh yeah, I went crazy there. I mean, that was
pretty awesome. Huh?
Pretty
It's probably
spectacular.
foaming at the
facilities,
mouth. I can just picture it right now.
I mean, Marissa really wants to have our wedding there. I won't say no. Hey man, everyone gets to weld, and that's fine.
She's probably gonna hear this too.
That's fine. I'll tell her all about it.
So what was your craziest fix this year, Dan? Well, I didn't have anything like absolutely outrageous. You know, in the previous year, I think last year's crazy fix, I literally welded a leaf spring back together that was cracked in half, and that was on a guy's trailer. He was trying to get home like an hour away, and put a solid bead on each side and then plated it, and I was like, dude, sign that waiver. Good luck. Like, it'll hold, but I wouldn't be
Sign that waiver.
I wouldn't be bringing it back next year.
Hey, I was pretty proud. The last day, one of the last jobs, the guy, I think his name's Lucas240 on Instagram. He's up from Washington. And he was like, I need these mains welded back together. Broke both his mains on his Toyota on 40s. And he told me they were all going up Soup Bowl that night with all of his buddies. He's the only one on Wee Springs. He went up Soup Bowl, I'm pretty sure. Wheeled the rest.
Soup Bowl's at the Rubicon, Daniel.
Oh, Soup Bowl. Yeah, backdoor. Sorry.
Where were we at, Daniel? Where were we at for a whole week?
Yeah, Soup Bowl ain't nothing compared to backdoor. But yeah, he went up backdoor with all of his buddies, and they did a bunch of other trails the rest of the weekend. And then his motorhome broke down on Tehachapi or somewhere down south, and he drove his Toyota all the way to Washington with welded Wee Springs
Oh man,
and made it home.
Damn, what a gangster. That's gnarly.
I was pretty impressed by that. I was really glad to hear that worked.
Dang. Did you? How did you weld them together? Did you use the torch and kind of anneal anything or no?
Honestly, no. He said make it work, so I welded.
Do you stick those or?
No, I just
Turn up the heat?
hardwire. No, it wasn't too hot, honestly. I just welded both sides all the way down the military wrap from the hanger all the way down to the center pin as much as I could. And he's like, I just want to go wheeling. Don't let it break. I was like, all right.
Wait,
see
where
what I can
was
do.
the weld?
It was on
Like, where'd
the.
it break?
He broke his main leaf on both sides, right in front of his center pin, in the front of the.
Oh, on
rig.
both sides in front of the center pin. So you had the.
I welded both sides all the way down. I didn't really give him time to cool. I know it's not right. Everyone's going to judge me on it. But the dude drove all the way home. That's all I'm going to say. And then I think he bought a 3-link kit the next day. As soon as he got home, he ordered
I
us.
remember that. Yeah,
Yeah, here.
A lot of these guys with their fixes too. It's like, yeah, it's all getting cut off when I get home anyway, because I see all this awesome stuff happening, and I need a 3-link now. And,
Yeah, or turbo and LS. Yeah. And
oh, that snowballs. Yeah.
It's pretty surprising that held up. It's crazy.
I was
I'm
amazed.
surprised he drove home too. That's actually super sketchy.
Well, from everybody I've
What
ever
happened to that motorhome?
he blew a turbo. I think it was a Ford. But, if it was a Dodge, it would have been fine. But,
Right, the transmission would have broke.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, we're not getting.
At the bottom of the hatch.
And the body panels would be gone too.
Hey, take it easy.
Hey, we've had a lot of Dodges, man.
But yeah, it was. I mean, that was probably one of the most impressive ones I dealt with. Like I just happened to see that on Instagram after I started following him. I was like, wow, that is amazing. So, everybody I've ever heard from, they'll weld it on the trail with the stick welder with batteries, and then they're on their way out of the trail and they continue to break it, and then they got hose clamps, and my welds held all the way up to Washington.
Did you get to see? So you went out like pretty much every night. Did you go up and watch people wheel it like Chocolate Thunder and Backdoor and stuff? Or
You know what? This last year was the calmest year out of the 3 years I've been. It was pretty mellow, and then the very last night I decided not to go out. I just hung
That was
out.
the big night because that's when people are coming in. So this year, I think we did get close to the estimated 60,000 or over 60,000 people down there. But like I said, because the UTVs were at the beginning of the race, you didn't see all those people at the lake bed at one time. You had probably a big crowd at the beginning of the week and then a big crowd at the end of that week. But the middle calmed down because there just, wasn't as much going on. So that's what I felt. And I saw the pictures from Backdoor the night, either Thursday or Friday night, because I went the night before, and it was packed. I think Big Willie Jeep had a party down there or something. He had flamethrowers off the back of his thing this year. That dude's really cool.
And
I
It's
think
funny.
I heard Michael talking about that too.
it was,
Marketing. Yeah, he
it
was.
was wild.
Yeah, we're sitting on top of Chocolate Thunder, and next thing you know, you just see two huge flames come out of these antennas. It was like, what the hell's going on?
Hot as
Buggy
shit,
whips,
too.
yeah.
That was so hot.
Big flames. Yeah.
Oh yeah, but no, I think another reason why is because Katy Perry or Red Hot Chili Pepper, whatever.
I think it was a Red Hot Chili Peppers cover band, but
I thought it was.
they sounded legit. They sounded legit. Like
I wasn't.
Did you do karaoke this year?
I didn't find the karaoke booth this year.
There wasn't too much partying going on in the pits or
No,
the vendor area.
Not as much. I mean, Caleb and I had a couple nights walking around and chilling at the bonfire and checking out different rigs that were down there and saw a couple
Bonfire was
interesting
good
things.
this year. Couple
It
nights.
was, dude, really. I went one night and I went to go back a few other nights, and it was pretty dead. And it was only like 10 o'clock.
That's because those racers got to get up early in the morning.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the guys outside of Hammertown that are partying until 6
yeah.
because they don't have to get up and fire up their buggy at 4 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, I wouldn't doubt if people slept at Chocolate Thunder. Woke up in the morning. Well, where the heck
I saw
am
a couple rigs take a couple naps at Chocolate Thunder. I'll tell you what.
I saw some razors break some axle shafts. That was awesome.
Yeah, they'll do that. Not a lot of people break the belt like within like 100 feet of the gate. It's pretty good.
Hey, man, I didn't drive it the night before. That's not my problem. Still believe in that.
Did you guys burn through a good amount of that steel, or how'd that work out?
I think we burned through more plate than anything.
Yeah,
Plate and flat bar.
Because we're using that plasma a lot more this year.
Yeah.
I think we definitely, usually you're when we're stacking stuff up in the F350 at the end of the week that we get from IMS Metals, it's sagging the truck out because we're stacking what ends up being, 4 or 5 inches of plate of 3/8 and whatever else. And this year, we did not have that much to bring home because we cut it all up. We had a use for almost all of it.
Yeah.
I think we came back with 2 full sheets, a 1/4 inch. And
That's about it, right?
no,
Not much
we
else.
came back with 1 full sheet, a 1/4 inch. Everything else was cut into.
Wow. Does Torch Paint still make that 2x2 little plasma? Did you guys even? You haven't seen that? No.
I don't think I've seen that one.
They used to make a 2x2.
Just a little guy.
Yeah, they had a 2x4 like we, that.
No, you
Rock
had
and
a
Red has them.
4x4, didn't you?
No, it was a 2x4.
Okay.
But I think they even had a 2x2 for like garage, like the 2x4. It was like I think they were doing like Builder Series or whatever. But I'm pretty sure they
Make
did
little shock tabs or whatnot in your garage.
Probably because they just didn't sell enough. But
Yeah.
that'd be sick to get us someone to set us up with one of those for the lake bed.
That'd be pretty
Yeah, we
crazy.
definitely burned through a lot of steel out there. It's pretty fortunate that we're able to work with IMS Metals. Get hooked up on a lot of tube, a lot of steel. Because, like you guys were saying, this year we were really using the heck out of it.
And they deliver
cutting all
it to
kinds
the
of
lake
stuff.
bed for us.
Yeah.
Which is like legit.
Yeah, the dude's awesome, man.
I can't remember the
his
driver's name, but now he runs the whole company. He started out 7 years ago there and started giving us steel 5-6 years
He
ago.
runs all the deliveries.
Yeah, so he's in charge of
all that.
everything. And then they're like, he's the only one that knows how to do it. So he just comes out, and we fed him breakfast this year.
Yeah, we made sure to let him know
Yeah.
he had breakfast.
Yeah, and Megan really hooked it up. No, whatever we asked for. Besides driveline material. Apparently you can't find that on the West Coast.
A little shortage right now.
A little
yeah.
shortage.
So we didn't have any driveline material, or what was
Oh,
it
the
about?
shaft master did great, didn't you, Morgan?
Yeah, not as many drive shafts as last year because we didn't have the material, but still made several and made them work, and learned a lot about them last year, and I think I made some pretty sweet ones this year. And there was a couple of them that weren't even broken. Like, hey, I need this shortened 6 inches. Here are my measurements, and they're picking up a super straight drive line. And the funny part, one of the guys, one of the last ones I made, is funny because the other. I'm going to sidetrack myself here a little bit, but I'm doing a job and they're like, "Oh, your welds are great. They're way better than mine. How long you been welding for Rough Stuff?" I'm like, "Dude, I answer phones. I'm on the other end of the phone line and the emails, but I do all right in my garage, so they bring me down here because nobody gives a shit on the desert. But no, I'm proud of the work. But yeah, a couple of the guys would come by and introducing yourself and knowing who they are. And it's like, "Oh, I've been talking to you for the last year while I build my Jeep. Every time I call, you answer the phone." So it's always kind of funny to put faces with names out there.
That's what I miss about sales actually a lot, is like being able to talk to the customer. I used to really enjoy, like, you're kind of building people's rigs like vicariously.
Oh yeah, no, I do that
It's just
every
a ton
single
of
day.
fun,
And
like where you get to like save the money or try and like, no, you don't need that, you should do it this way, or it's
and also diagnosing certain things, and it's all just puzzles. It's
Exactly. Yeah. Bunch of
like,
problem solving.
Yeah, it's like, hey, I'm running this, and this, and I'm getting a ton of axle wrap. All right, well, here's what you need to do to change that and get rid of this and add this. And
it's less like sales and more like customer service and just like building, whether you're selling them our stuff or someone else's product.
And I do that a lot too. And I think that just goes to show about the customer service we try to go for here at Rough Stuff is just like, hey, I'm going to tell you what you need and what's hopefully going to be the best for your current situation. If I don't sell it, I'm going to try and send you to somebody who does. And the end result, whether I sell you the stuff or not, is for you to have a rig that works. And and I think people respect that a lot.
And at the end of the day, like, there's a good chance we might actually run into you. So we're definitely not going to steer you the wrong way because
you'll come back.
Yeah. Good chance we'll run into you at Hammers.
It's like, same thing. We always preach here, even just treat people how you want to be treated, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah, Dana, some dude was all getting fired up. He goes, "Where's Dana at?" And I was like, Dana's answering phones still. And he goes, "I spent $9,000 on my Jeep because of that dude. Where is he at?" He goes, "I need to put a picture to that face."
that's funny.
So, all right, best thing we ate this year. What do you think, Daniel? I always look forward to, because I think it's Monday night is our first night. You worked all day. You're getting into that groove of being down there on the lake bed, and I think first night is always spaghetti night, and that's awesome because I need, my energy is just depleted, and just get a load of spaghetti and meat sauce, and just Owen tears it up. By the way, huge thanks to Owen Kittredge for doing our cooking down there and running the kitchen. And it's or the kitchen, the easy up with tables, and the grill there. But dude, we eat like kings on the lake bed. I tell you what, it is. I swear, nobody goes hungry, and you get good food.
What was your favorite meal, Dan?
I'm not gonna lie, like Owen did a pretty good job. I like the Dan burgers. I like Owen's breakfast. I really appreciate French toast out in the lake bed. It makes me feel real special.
Yeah, the toast is good.
And then
It's ciabatta bread.
Yeah,
Pretty damn good.
Every year he brings up ciabatta. We have to have ciabatta bread.
Hey, it was
That's-
good.
that's
Takes
how he
super
does it.
serious. Yeah.
that's Owen. I expect it every year.
Turned out good, and then
Caleb.
Taco Tuesday. We had plenty.
I forgot about Taco
We had plenty of
Tuesday.
Modelo. We had some. Yeah, that was the funniest part. So it's like 4:00 in the morning, Sunday morning. We're getting ready to leave. I pull all my stuff out of the back of my car. Zach's pulling up. I pull out my 24-pack of Modelo, and he shows up with 2 18s. I'm like, my man. We're on the same page right here.
And they got their lime juice to go with it.
Oh yes,
Yeah, squeeze bottle.
And I was the typical KOH patron where, all right, time to go to the fire, and you're shoving cans of beer in every single pocket you can. I'd try at least to have a 6-pack on me at all times.
You learn so much about your
holster
clothes.
for the
How many beers you can actually fit in your jacket.
fitting them down the sleeve. Yeah,
And then if you keep going multiple years, you start picking your jackets based on how many beers you can bring with you in said jacket.
yeah. Mike's planning on bringing his specialized ski jacket next year that can hold literally a full 12-pack and tall cans in the back, like it's all insulated. And he's like, all right, I'm bringing this next year.
I'm just bringing a thermos next year full of water moccasins. So,
And into water mocks.
hey man,
You want to explain to people what those are?
What's a water mock,
I don't
Dan?
know. Yeah.
What? Well, you got to go to the Valencia Club over in Newcastle? Penryn. And ask for a water moccasin. You won't be disappointed. Stephen O'Neill introduced it to me, and it's pretty much the only thing I'll drink now.
I used to work there. I used to make those.
I know, they're freaking delicious. Why don't you describe it, Morgan?
See, I haven't worked there in 4 years, buddy, but
I call it the dorm
Your
dorm
you just
room.
like bar back there, or bartending?
yeah, a
too?
little bit of bartending, but started as a bar back, and that's actually how I got this job. At the time, I was in South Sac. We're going to take a detour here on King of Hammers, but as far as how I got this job, I was doing bar backing up there. Obviously, there's a lot of customer service in that. That and bartending.
I thought you were gonna say there's a bunch of rough stuff guys that go to the Valencia
Well,
Club.
that's what happened. Is some guy with a rough stuff hat came in, and I asked him about it because I've been a customer here since high school, and he goes, "Yeah, and you're actually working really hard right now. Like you want a job in shipping," and then started in shipping. 2 years later, I moved up to sales and been in sales 2.5 years now. So, but anyway, water moccasin should be.
Should we tell anybody or should we keep it a secret? Because I really like having a secret.
That's their drink. If you want a water moccasin, you go to the Valencia Club, see my friend Jonathan and Doug, and
It tastes like peach sugar syrup.
No,
hard
it
liquor
tastes like
mess.
peach Arizona
Did you guys get any? What was that stuff that Tyson used to bring down?
Moonshine.
No moonshine.
No, dude, we haven't had
this year.
moonshine in 2 years. You know how annoying that is? Like, seriously?
You don't need any more.
No.
Come on,
it's
Tyson.
He's like, they used to get like freaking crates of it, right?
Yeah.
Oh no,
Yeah.
I think the first year I went, we had over 2.5 gallons of moonshine, and I think we only had a gallon. I think we had a gallon left when we came home.
Well, we had
Like,
a
we
gallon
drank
in
a
7
lot.
mason jars, but that was the year of the belly flop contest. So I remember
Oh, that was awesome. Remember
standing in the crowd with Dan Vance here, his first year at Hammers, and we're watching the drunk dudes almost break their necks jumping off of the I think it was
KMC.
a KMC trailer, a King trailer or something.
Great, yeah.
And so
I still got
remember
that video.
and that
Dude with
that
the-
moonshine was so sweet that Daniel's just chugging, and I was like, dude, this guy in the morning, like, because my first year, a little backstory again. I am basically quote unquote in charge of the morning setup, getting the generator or organizing that. I don't do it all by myself, but I'm kind of like getting the guys up, getting the generators fueled. And the reason that is my task is my first year at Hammers, I got absolutely obliterated.
Shit house.
Yeah, just absolutely shit. I was drunk, and then decided to make tacos at 3:00 in the morning on the grill, and like all this extra flavoring was going to go in my taco because I scraped it all off the flat top. So the next morning, I
shithouse
just
drunk.
wrecked till at least noon or 1. Thank God the motorhome toilet or the bathrooms are so small because I could throw up in the sink and poop at the same time. It was absolutely horrible. So that's the reason that I don't drink any hard alcohol in the lake bed personally. I just drink my beer, and that's also why I'm in charge of the morning operations. So I need to get up on time.
Permanently punished.
That's awesome. I remember that. I remember you just being super hungover. You're like, I'm really sorry, man. Won't happen again, I promise.
And it hasn't. But and the other thing is everybody's coming in, and now I know better. I was pretty young back then, but everybody's coming in like, dude, just slam another beer. That's what you got to do to cure this. Just slam another beer. You'll be good as new.
Probably heard that like 30 times that morning.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, but at KMC, man, there's this dude with a full man, like these huge chops. Like huge chops. And
Like
then
mutton chops, right?
Oh, it was insane. He had a badass mullet. His neck was never cold. And, and that dude, I don't know how he didn't win, but yeah, that belly flop was pretty awesome. There was some chick that maybe weighed 70 pounds soaking wet that tried to do it and put a tiny little splash out there.
And then there was the one that was about 4 feet tall lying down that tried to do it.
Wow. Yes, that one too. But yeah, Hammers is definitely an experience. If you haven't been there, you need to go there. But personally, the only way I would ever go is if I was working in the day and then partying at night. Because during the day, it's too sunny to be doing anything for me. That's just personally.
Yeah, no, we have a great time. We get the most out of our days down there for sure. Because it's everybody else down there is on vacation, and we're doing all this hard work every day, and we try to get our slice of pie at night and try to enjoy as much of that nightlife. So I remember going out with my we should talk about Caleb, my buddy Caleb, so Caleb that works with us, and then my buddy Caleb that met us out there is the runs the meat department at UC Davis, and I love camping trips with him because the tri-tip, he brings out a ton of different meat that's all grown in Davis, and just eat, man, we'll feed anybody. So he brought over he smoked some tri-tip for us on our last night, brought that over, feeding people as I walk by, fed everybody at camp, and like I had to ask Owen very nicely to kind of hide, Caleb wanted to do this, and we kind of had to hijack dinner Thursday night away from Owen, but man, it paid off. It was just amazing.
I don't think Owen complained one bit. I think Owen was more obsessed with the meat than I was.
Yeah.
Like dude, I almost got sick because of how much meat I ate.
Yeah,
Like,
that's
it was,
good. Hey,
Oh.
that's the way to do it,
that
though.
tri-tip was bomb.
But we
Hey
had-
man, eat beef.
He's eating so much meat, Daniel.
We ended up going out to backdoor on one of the quieter nights, and Caleb was hilarious because he had this onesie that he got at Walmart. He was a bald eagle. That was just a onesie bald eagle. You put the
Trump one?
No, it's just put the hood over, and it's got this little beak on top and everything. And he puts his arms out, and there's wings underneath it. So it's hilarious because Caleb has a lifetime of wheeling experience. So we're drinking beers at backdoor, watching people try and get up it, and you kind of have to go up on your left side. And then, obviously rear steer rigs make it easy because you can shift the ass end over and get traction again. But it's funny because, you know, a guy would try it for a little bit, start spinning tires and burning them up and whatnot. And then the wise old bald eagle would get down there with his Coors Light and tell him how to do it right, you know. So there was a guy in a TJ that...
that's why he had problems. Gee.
Well,
sorry, man.
he'd be going up and basically ended up, the wheelbase was just not set up properly for that particular obstacle. So he ended up pogoed back and was like, all right, this guy's going to go end over end backwards here and just flop over on his roof. But no, he would pogo back, all the wheels would come off the ground, he'd just land right on the back tailgate, basically, on the rear stinger, just perfectly straight up. Bad part is he didn't shut it off. So the motor is just puking oil out the main seal and giving a smoke show. But that was kind of fun to watch because everybody'd push him back onto his wheels and he'd do it again.
Yeah, there's a...
Where people's at, like I know in the past we've had, because it can get pretty stressful down there, but as far as the people coming get their stuff welded from you guys, attitudes, how were their attitudes this year?
Oh man, it was probably the best year yet.
I was going to mention that earlier, is we had just nobody got in our face about stuff. You know, there was just a couple people that it's never going to be good enough. You know, it's HREW tubing, it's not DOM. Sorry, it's free. You know, but you know, beggars can't be freaking choosers, right? But hey, you know, I think everybody had a good attitude, and nobody, you know, a couple of race teams obviously are always rushed. But I think
high pressure situations.
But nobody was overly bearing, or, you know, the most annoying fixes were the guys just floating right over your shoulder the whole time. And I had to tell one guy, just like, hey, dude, this fix is going to go a lot better if you just take a walk for a little bit. You know, it's like, you know, hey, I'm going to do better work when you're not hovering over me and, you know, just stressing me out because I'm checking my shoulder. So, you know, and that worked out. So
Was that Dan?
No, that was the vehicle owner. But Dan too, he's following you around to wait for a time when you're not grinding or talking to somebody else, so he can say, "Hey, can you do this real quick?"
Yeah.
And Dan means every bit of well.
Yeah.
So
Totally,
it you can't be mad at the guy. Yeah. You really can't. Like, it's like, dude, come on, and then you sit back and you're just laughing. Like, it's not describable. Every moment, like I'll be running a weld and. Next thing you know, he comes up and spooks me and he's like, "Hey, can you do this?" I'm like, "Dan, I'm kind of welding right now." Like,
we should get one of those ticket things from the DMV. You know?
Oh
like
my god!
Pull a number.
Genius.
What's your number? Yeah.
That's pretty good. There's no organization to that.
Dude, I bet we could probably get a bunch of deli counter tickets from Caleb. He totally has that.
I don't think UC Davis works that way, but I don't think hammers, at least at our pit, I don't think it can work that way.
No, I know. I was just joking.
No, but still, it's a funny theory. But man, there's so much chaos. There's there's no order,
and there's a lot of fast fixes, and there's like a bunch of long fixes, which slow all those
like,
fast
hey,
ones down.
you know, people that leave their rig there for half a day because it's going to take that long to pull the axle back into place, and
those ones are easy. Those ones are stressful. You get burnt out. Like, you're just tired of working on it, and like sometimes, like I remember doing those types of builds, and it was like, I just need someone else to come over and help me for a little bit, just so I can. Yeah.
Well, the ones where you're already super beat, and then they bring in this thing that's just absolutely destroyed, and you're already beat, you're already tired, you're looking forward to the end of the day, and they bring this, and you're like, "Fuck me!" Just,
cool. Here's another 3 hours.
Yeah,
it was like that spider track housing that had that huge dent in it, dude. Oh my god.
Oh, last year.
That was the longest repair. I spent more time on that than I have doing a lot of my own projects, it feels like. And it was just constant. Trying not to take breaks, taking care of it.
That's the one you did on the flatbed, right, last year?
Yeah, where I replated the whole entire house. I didn't cut anything out. I tried to hammer it out, but the sledge wouldn't fit in there. So I couldn't hammer it out. Thought about making a slide hammer with a rosebud, but it didn't work. So we just plated over it. And then he ended up cracking the faceplate. Had to re-drill and tap the faceplate out there. That was a nightmare.
That's right. That was the same housing, huh?
Yeah, and they wouldn't bring me the third because of the dust, so I had to eyeball it with a lube blocker that was completely toast. That was
pretty amazing. That was last year, but man, that was one for the books. What do you think was your wildest fix this year?
I don't know,
it's such a blur, dude.
My favorite fix was probably Adam, the dude from Tennessee that drove out there with his Ford flatbed and drove.
You love that guy.
That guy was the coolest guy you've ever met in your life. If you needed a tool, He just opened his toolbox. He had every single Milwaukee product
Did
you
he
can
put
imagine.
his flat fender on the flatbed?
Yeah, he drives with his CJ7
CJ7.
on the back of his flatbed, and then he was towing a trailer with like 10,000 pounds behind it.
Nice.
And somehow his hitch grabbed a rock and ripped his whole entire receiver hitch off. And he told me how much weight he was towing. I was freaking out, and I was like,
Old
well,
IDI 6.9 or something. Like that.
it was a 7.3 IDI. It was
7.3,
badass.
yeah.
He had like 200. He had a 120 gallon fuel tank in the back of it.
Wow.
So he drove all the way from Tennessee without filling up once. He just transfer tanked it over.
Hey, it gets more efficient as you keep going because it gets lighter.
Yeah, no kidding. And yeah, stick welded his whole entire setup back on. Messaged me on Instagram saying he was home. He's like, I'm not fixing it. Made it all the way home.
There's
Kind of scary.
Yeah, a lot of good people that we did fixes for this year. I know there was, I think a guy named Mason worked at Fox. I ended up fixing one of the cracked link brackets on his Jeep, and he was stoked because he was able to keep partying in his Jurassic Park Wrangler for the rest.
That was the Jurassic Park, dude?
Yeah, he was able to keep
badass.
You know, everybody's
That thing was
just
cool.
everybody's just stoked to be able to continue their week. You know, nobody wants to get down there, break their rig, and then that's the end of their trip. And that always is, because you spend a ton of money down there, you spend a ton of time prepping. You know, we do obviously, but just the average Joe going down there. You know, town's, you know, hour or 2 hours away or whatever, and it's just, you know, you're out there in the middle of nowhere, and if you break on the first day, we're kind of your saving grace.
Well, Stephen Wolf ended up bringing a bunch of extra stuff down. Dan knew some people, made some calls, and brought more tubing down, and did some dudes steering, links, whatever. We need a longer 2-inch 250 wall. It was pretty hectic. It was pretty wild, and helped a lot of people out, and everybody was really thankful. Even though some of the races are in a rush, they were still.
You know, even
we all know that they mean well, and they're pissed off, stressed out,
exactly.
not worrying. They just spent a whole year prepping this rig, taking time away from their family and their job, and may not be able to race. And they were all pretty cool about it at the end of the day, and very thankful.
Yeah, this year was definitely the best, even as far as like those super high stress situations with, you know, race teams or the dude that's got to drive, you know, 2,000 miles to get home in that rock crawler that he just blew apart. You know, everybody was super cool this year. It's pretty nice.
What was up with the fix while rigs were, or race cars were in the tech line? What was that? I wasn't a part of that one. I think that was Greco and Caleb, but what happened? You guys were doing welding on a housing while the guys in line for tech?
Yeah,
Pulled out the LN way out there. They were welding the armor back on. The armor ripped off, and they were racing. They were test running the night before and ripped the armor off on their spider track housing. The thing was worn down. I don't know how it didn't rip off any sooner, but it was pretty bad. And Caleb ended up wrapping up a bunch of wire,
filling a gap.
Yeah, but he took a freaking 10 feet of wire and put it up in like a foot long section and just started welding and filling gap. And as far as I know, they raced the whole race.
Yeah.
What was up
pretty
with
cool.
that one? You said that was dented, that Spider Tracks housing?
Last
That was
year
last year's.
Oh, was it? Okay.
Yeah.
How'd you guys fix that?
I plated the living hell out of it.
Did you pop the dent back out, or?
I couldn't pop the dent out. I got it out enough to where it wouldn't hit the ring gear, and that's all I could do.
Gotcha.
It wouldn't do anymore.
That happened to the housing a long time ago, and we heated it up with a rosebud, and then took a piece of a tube and like capped it essentially, and used it as like a giant chisel almost, and pounded it. Took the third member out and pounded the dent out.
Oh, basically a big ass punch. Huh?
Yeah, and then we plated, and then we put a rib down the center. And that's like kind of where the rib originated from. Actually, was
Our rib?
from the damaged housing, and so and we've never had a dent like that since. I believe, right?
As far as I know, we don't have too many warranties on our housings.
And then so that fixed it, and then we did armor on it, obviously.
Yeah, it was a lot of work. It was a lot, and it was hot last year. From what I remember, I remember sweating a lot doing that one.
I think last year was a lot. Yeah, that was a long fix and a lot of wind too.
Wind
was definitely not. It was an issue this year. It was not near an issue like it was last year, because last year you couldn't even tack something in place without having somebody hold a blanket for you. This year it was a lot easier. On certain fixes, I didn't need a blanket because I was up inside the frame rail or something, pretty protected. Another one fixed a Blazer this year. This was probably one of my bigger fixes. It was Guys brought it in, and the axle had broken one. It was a dual triangulated 4-link in the rear, had broken off the upper frame side link on a really fancy cross member. It was on a Blazer chassis. Could not get, I could get my head up in there to see it because I got a really tiny head. But that was the other funny part, is switching helmets between myself and Dan. And he's like, how the hell you put this thing on your head? And really, anyway, there's a lot going on up here. But yeah, I could get my head up in there to see the crack, but couldn't get the head or my head up there with a helmet, and let alone a gun up in there to weld it. So, cleaned up the bracket, put it back in its spot where it had ripped off, welded the seams I could see from the lower end, and that worked out great. But I remember and these guys, I wish I could remember their name, because these guys were just awesome, humble, super stoked, helped me with everything as far as hitting the bolts back into place. Like, just really just good. I was happy to do that fix for them. They were just good people. But basically, the last weld, I had to take off the helmet, be underneath it. So obviously I'm not in any danger of looking right at the arc, but it was purely a blind weld. It was just like, all right, aim the tip where it needs to be, and then just close, or basically watch where you're aiming it. And I looked back up there afterward, and it was actually pretty, it ain't going to be perfect, but it was a pretty decent bead, and it held, and they were able to continue partying. And that was probably one of my more interesting ones this year, because it was purely just up above my head. Could not see where the arc was, but just, think about where it needs to be and point it there.
Such like a variety of things we learn, like at that pit. I feel like, because you're doing so many fixes that you like most people don't see like in a lifetime.
Mm-hmm.
No, not at all.
The key word is improvised on there. Yeah. It's like, and there was a couple of times where I felt stoked to have previous KOH experience, because Caleb's first year down there, he would say, oh, well, I need to do this and I can't do that. And I'm like, okay, well, try these 3 steps. And he goes, that sounds like it'll work. Like, thanks. And, I felt good to be able to give that advice to Caleb, and it worked out.
For sure. Yeah.
And Caleb killed it down there. That dude was a freaking powerhouse right out of the gate. Mm-hmm. And great attitude. Super talented young man, really applied like a lot of variety of knowledge at a whole variety of fixes, even that, lining up for tech.
How'd the I know we just got hooked up with Milestar. How did that all happen?
How'd that happen? I don't
wasn't it SEMA?
Did they contact
Oh no,
us,
that's right. Yeah. So
and then they hooked us up for hammers, like.
Yeah, so I met Martin at Milestar Tires at Off-Road Expo this year, actually, down in Pomona, and was interested in doing something with us. And I'd heard a lot of really good things about Milestar Patagonias. And yeah, before we know it, we're getting the F350 and the work flatbed all decked out.
Yeah, he just like contacted you like a few weeks before, right? And he's like, "Hey, how can I be a part of?"
Here you go. Yeah. Set us all up, and we got the not their MTs, but the XT, the Stream Train. It's kind of like one of those hybrid tires now.
It actually looks like a badass tire. I know the Patagonias work. I'm not a huge fan of that tread panel, just the way it looks. But the XTs that you guys put on the 350, I'd probably consider a set of those. They look pretty sweet.
Yeah, they're slick, man. They tow nice, track great. I haven't used them off-road too much of any kind.
Oh, we did.
Well, I didn't get to wheel the work truck, but I guess you did a little bit, Daniel.
Yeah, we were going through the sand a little bit, going out to the challenge.
Did you say they're making like a UTV tire?
Yeah, they're SXT or whatever. It's Kevlar tire for side by side. It's pretty badass. Up to 34-inch too, which is pretty sweet.
Oh, nice.
I definitely want to get a set of those.
Yeah.
That will be cool.
I think our tires are done.
Yeah, we pretty much smoked those tires.
I think you pretty much smoked those tires.
I have smoked the tires.
Hey, we found no railroad spikes this year.
I didn't find any. Yeah,
railroad spikes.
I got to.
He went out like just out here in front of our shop.
Is that how you popped that tire?
Yeah, right across the street. Basically, yeah. He brings it back. There's a railroad spike sticking out of the tire,
like 8 inches long. Yeah, it's the only pointed thing.
That happened to me going on Mormon. Yeah, that happened to me too. I was on asphalt and a little bit of dirt. Went and did a donut in the dirt. Next thing you know, I had a freaking 10-inch long railroad spike in my 33.
Yeah. No, it's nice. I didn't get to go play too much, but
it's because somebody was hogging the razor all
the razor all the time.
No.
Built up. But yeah, I don't know. I'm sure you guys know as you start to get older, you totally value your alone time more and more.
Oh yeah.
I had a great time. Just smashed through the desert as fast as I could go, and then randomly found a cul-de-sac. Whipped some donuts in that cul-de-sac, and then got out of there real quick. And... yeah, it's cool.
I used to, like Hammers, the same thing. I used to take my Toyota out, and you'd just be cruising out. Like I'd be by myself most of the time, just cruising, and be out to till 2 a.m. You're like, holy crap! I didn't realize how. Because
I gotta wake up soon.
Yeah.
Desert's my favorite place to explore.
Yeah, I just went up over by Chocolate over there and watched sunset. Watched a bunch of dudes cut through the desert. Pretty cool, and that was about on my ride.
Yeah, we found a shocker, a burned down exploder. I mean, I would never understand why it was on its lid, but
that never happens.
Oh no, it probably was running Firestones. But yeah, we found one of those way out there past the shooting range. We're cooking through the desert pretty good, and all of a sudden my buddy AJ decided to try to go through a trench. Flipped it on and took a little nap. Flipped it on the side a little bit. That was pretty funny, taking a video of him, asking him, yelling at us to flip him back over, but we were all taking videos.
I think that was great because I was on the other end of that. I didn't receive the text message.
Somehow it managed to go through. I don't know how. I didn't have service the rest of the
Oh,
trip.
that's right. Yeah,
So
Caleb
Zach,
showed me.
So Daniel sends a photo or a video of a razor on its side to Caleb. Caleb's in the trailer with Zack and I back at camp. He leans over to Zack, and Zack didn't know it was our razor or not. And he's just showing him, like, hey, check this out. And this is from Daniel just sent me this. And Zack's going, what the fuck? Where are they? Like, what did they just do? You know? And we're like, oh, that's AJ's.
That's fun.
Yeah, upside down and completely filthy. You and AJ actually look quite a bit alike.
Yeah.
Funny, yeah.
Well, he had a single seater. Zach had a little too much tequila.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, single seater.
You couldn't tell the difference.
And then who got us connected with DeWalt?
Zach definitely did.
Yeah, me and Wyatt, our R&D guy, were at SEMA this year just tooling around and saw a giant battery pack charger. You know, like it was like an 8-bank or something.
How was it? 12.
Something like that, or 12 bank.
pack.
Yeah, so we're like, holy shit, 12-pack battery charger. Count us in. Let's go check it out before we knew it. Chatting with this guy, Nathaniel, and oh yeah, I've heard of that a little bit. That sounds like a cool event. And I was like, well, if you guys ever need anybody to put your gear to work, let us know. And before we know it, get set up with some pretty spectacular stuff.
That's legit. That's super cool. It's surprising to me every time people are just like, yeah. And actually, I was trying to. It was too late, but next year we'll try and finish it off. But I was trying to get an energy drink company to hook us up this year and just fill up that cooler full of energy drinks for you guys to just keep us.
Yeah, there's a ton of Monsters and Red Bulls that got slammed down there. That's not many people will drink a Red Bull at 7 o'clock in the morning, but at Hammers, it's very common.
Too.
We have any fires this year?
You caught on fire, Morgan, remember?
You caught on fire.
And it's one of those damn moving blankets that you're trying to use to shield yourself, and all of a sudden...
And that guy couldn't see shit. He couldn't tell you were on fire either.
Yeah, because
before I know it, I realize I'm just hitting you in the crotch as hard as I can, and I'm just like, okay, I gotta he'll figure it out from here.
Yeah.
I think
you just stomp it out. You whipped your hood up. You're like, "What are you doing?" And then you're like, "Oh."
No, that happened to me too. Somebody was hitting me in the arm. I was welding, and they were hitting my welding arm, and I was like, I'm gonna get up and punch the living daylights out of you. Like, what the hell is going on? And next thing you know, I pop up my helmet, and the whole blanket's on fire next to me. And the dude that was holding it was slapping it. I was just cussing him out while I was welding.
Those things melt though, like the
Harbor Freight, man, $5, you can't beat it.
Well, those Lincoln welding blankets were much easier to use, except for at the very end of the week. You know, if you didn't have gloves on, my hands were filled with fiberglass.
I'm pretty sure my arm still has fiberglass in it.
The leather ones are nicer for handling.
Mm-hmm. But at the same time, I've caught a leather one on fire.
Yeah.
So
I'm not surprised, Daniel. You catch on fire all the time.
I only caught on fire once last week. It's not that big of a deal.
You're like a superhero, man. Flame on.
Yeah, those Lincoln welding blankets were pretty awesome.
And then we leave Friday morning, right? Normally.
Yep.
Yeah. So that's the day of the main race, and not a lot of business going on that day. We used to stay. It was kind of crazy. We used to stay all the way till Saturday because we'd take all the work trucks and put the generators in them and drive them out to each remote pit. Yeah, sit out there for hours.
Remote pit 1,
And that's
2A,
what should
2B.
be
And it's
still done.
No, it took us years to convince Dan not to do that anymore. We used to just sit out there and we'd repair one vehicle maybe.
You know, Daniel, I
Everyone's-
know you're all into it. And it sounds like a great time, just smashing Dodge Cummins diesels through the desert, Lincoln generators. But no, it was cool to be able to offer support. But you know, if you're at remote pit 2B or whatever, you're in the really far one out. You know, a lot of cars aren't even making it that far. And most of those guys are going so damn fast trying to chase, you know, whoever was in the front that they don't even stop. You know?
Well, it's not even that too, but the teams are so much more prepared every year, right? So like, why not bring your own welder to the remote pit?
More and more.
Like everyone's gonna do that.
I mean,
I
how
saw-
many actual, like, I feel like we did way less race cars this year than we did the year before.
Everybody
like a
I
lot
know
of
is like,
guys
hey,
really
can
got it
we
together.
take some plate? We have a welder in camp. Like, I don't know how many people said that to me this year.
Plate and tube.
Did you guys see that that one semi truck with the flatbed on the back and it had a turbocharged Lincoln Ranger with nitrous?
No, I'm not surprised you found it. Though,
Yeah.
Daniel.
Holy
You-
crap.
if everybody knows about it, like you guys got to know about it.
I've
It's-
never.
Was that the 6x6?
No, dude, it's a
It's just a semi.
It's a Peterbilt that I think the Vegas Rat Rod shop built.
Huh.
You're saying like the Ranger had a turbo?
No, their generator has their Lincoln Ranger generator welder has literally a freaking bigger turbo than I have on my Dodge, and it has a shot of nitrous with a hood stack, like it's stacked right off the back of it. It's freaking awesome. The whole turbo is just straight outside of it. I don't know if it honestly works, but it looks pretty. It looks pretty neat.
That's fine.
I mean, I'd probably own it.
Sure you would.
So yeah, Friday morning, slow. So we pack up, head out. How was that?
I think this year it took a little bit longer to get out, but you know, most years. Well, first off, I think the main thing was we had trailers already waiting on the lake bed, which we won't get into, but which was nice. It was that part alone was fine alone. But you know, most years it's such a clusterfuck and a free for all loading up where you're just throwing everything in a trailer, just throw it in a trailer, just get it in the trailer, and then it's just hell coming back on that Monday and then loading everything at 7:00 in the morning because we got to return the trailer rentals. This year we only had our enclosed in the flatbed, so we were forced to
Really dial it in.
really dial it in, and I kind of put myself in charge of like, hey, break everything down, put it at the end of the enclosed. My boss Ryan here was very efficient in loading the trailer, putting pictures and diagrams of where everything went, which I tried to follow as we put it back together, and it made load out and unloading when we got back home much easier. Like it took a little bit longer. I think we could do a little more prep at nighttime before next year or for next year.
Which
but
we thought we did.
well, we did. You know, last year we didn't do any of it. Everybody wanted to go out and play, and this year I think we did. We broke everything down. Nothing got left out. But you know, this year as far as packing it in, that trailer looked, 95% as good as it did when it left here.
Yeah. Well, on Thursday night too, like, we packed a little bit, but then
Then we were
our last night.
shotgunning beers.
yeah, Caleb never shotgun a beer. Caleb had also never done a keg stand,
Well, we can't. We just
let
need
alone been picked up, flipped upside down, and forced to do a keg stand.
to,
That was pretty good.
that whatever happens on the lake bed stays on the lake bed. I hope his mom doesn't listen to this. But,
She's a nice lady.
She's a nice lady.
But yeah, so we all learned something out there.
oh yeah.
It's a good year.
I just,
Real good year.
Anything stolen or any vandalism like the previous
No,
year?
nothing.
No, we in the past, unfortunately, we'd have bottles opened up in the middle of the night. It was fun. We'll have tools walked off with, whatever. We actually set up a full, thanks to Owen, a full security camera setup this year.
That was 24 hours this time.
24-hour security camera. So if you took something from us, we're going to find you.
We'll find you.
We're coming to your house next. No.
No, it's just
We're gonna post it. We'll just post it online.
we help everybody out for free and to take things away from us. And then if you need to come and get your rig fixed and we don't have that tool, I mean, it's kind of karma. Like,
Yeah, you're kind of a bad guy.
and you're hurting a lot of other people for no reason. And this is all out of our pocket. No one's getting paid for this, and it's a free event that our company puts on, and it's all for helping. There's nothing else behind it. We just love to help the community out that support us, and we support them.
Yeah, we're super fortunate to get work in this industry. We could, be pumping septic tanks
Yeah, it
And
could be.
instead, we get to work in the off-road industry. Nothing wrong with pumping septic tanks. Good, honest job, but it's also pretty shitty.
Yeah, shitter's full, man. Yeah, I could be welding weightlifting equipment. Like, how boring would that be? That would suck.
It'd be kind of cool, but like,
How would it be kind of cool?
get to lift weights.
It would be uplifting.
Oh yeah, I'm working.
But yeah, I mean, it's cool. At the end of the day, like, we work in a kick-ass industry. We work in an industry that's also its own community. You know what I mean? Off-road community is pretty cool. It's cool to
Everybody
be able to
knows
give back.
everybody. Doesn't matter what state.
And everybody has, like a good experience with a company they'll remember, and they've definitely had bad experiences with companies that they'll remember. So if we can help people out and kind of pave the way to hopefully maybe one day earn their business. If not, we made a good friend,
Yeah.
And if anything else, we just had a good time out there and helped a good guy and his family, or just a group of rowdy drunk guys get their rig back together. Or sometimes race car stuff is pretty cool.
And it's crazy that, one of my best friends now he's all over Instagram, and every one of his friends pretty much that comes and visit him at his house, it is all off Instagram and all in the wheeling community. And they all support all the same companies, and they're a big deal with all that. A lot of people listen to them and take their advice and stuff like that. And they all have a lot of our stuff and support us. It's pretty cool.
Is that George?
George at Unleashed 4x4. Yes.
Yeah.
Right on, guys. Well, yeah. So Friday comes along. You guys drive, get home. What time do you guys get home, actually?
We actually, considering how late we left,
hauled ass.
we made home we got home at a great time. I was obviously we drive past my house, and then I get to go drive an hour back home, which I think, Dan, next year we're thinking about. I'm not far from the freeway. We might do a pickup next year, but no, we were up here by 10:15. I think I was closing up and sending everybody home.
Sick.
And got to go home and see my girlfriend, and yeah, it was great.
Cool.
Great rest of the weekend, and then just sleep and sleep and cough out all the dust.
Yeah, everyone got sick after that.
Yeah, I'm just traditionally old school. Have my girl and my dog come meet me and pick me up.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah, it's
Just like
pretty
every
awesome.
year.
Well, is there anything else you guys want to chat about?
I just want to say
Gamers?
thank you to everyone who, made our lives easier out there. It was definitely our best year yet. I just want to thank our sponsors one more time: Lincoln Electric, Milestar Tires, Rugged Radios, DeWalt, IMS Metals, Raceline Wheels, and Tough Stuff Overland. Can't do this whole event without those awesome companies that make it happen. And just want to thank our kick-ass team: Daniel and Morgan, Caleb and Mike. Definitely made it happen. Pretty kick-ass year.
And if you do get an opportunity next year to meet Owen, you will sit there for hours hearing stories and stories and stories, and you won't get tired of them.
Oh, yeah.
No, literally.
Manuel Mallory gets tired of it because his powers are all of them.
That was actually that's another thing that was kind of funny about the nightlife, as far as like.
Yeah, your dad is something else, man. You didn't expect that.
Zach and Caleb and I just hanging out in the trailer while Mike and Daniel are out doing razor missions. But man, I'd tune out on my phone for just a second and get back into the conversation, and Owen is just on some rant about some chick he met a million years ago. And it's like, what are we talking about right now?
Yeah, dude, the oil fields are a crazy place.
Oh, yeah.
They are a crazy,
Oh.
crazy place.
And if you ever go through Bakersfield, who's that avocado guy you love?
Oh, Miguel, my boy.
Every year stops on the corner of this random street in
Got to meet
Bakersfield.
Miguel's abuela this year. She was really sweet.
Oh, and
Hooked us up.
and whoever
Bunch
that
of avocados.
whoever that guy was that gave us two huge things of guacamole. Thank you.
That'd be Mr. Ed Abt. I
Yep,
believe.
Edwin Abt, one of our sponsored racers, and he actually finished this year. Did a fantastic job.
Congratulations,
and
Ed.
really stoked.
Killing it.
Yeah.
Coolest sponsorship ever, guacamole.
Oh yeah, and that was great for Taco Tuesday, man. It was like,
was
dude,
great.
Oh, that was
Guac-
perfect. That was-
guacamole in squeeze bottles. I was like, this is freaking genius.
I'm surprised no one, no sponsored. I guess maybe it's just too expensive, but like anyone that's like self-sponsored needs to do like that Talladega Nights like Cougar with the me on the front,
Yeah.
that just like has no sponsors.
I'll bring a Cougar next year.
I did see a guy in a, not a race car, but just like a buggy, had a giant Fig Newton sticker.
Yes,
on the
yes,
windshield.
that's a thing.
Yeah.
I did not see
Uh,
that.
awesome.
It was on a single cab Toyota, right?
Yeah, all
Pretty
buggied
sure
out
that
in the
dude's up
back.
in Oregon. Yeah, I saw him on Instagram. I laughed my ass off.
Absolutely awesome.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, that guy definitely gets my props. But
All right, guys. Well, what are we at? Hour and a half. So
Yeah, I think that's pretty much all she wrote.
yeah.
We need to edit.
All right, guys. Well, if you have any questions or feedback, definitely hit us up on social media. We'd like to hear what you guys want to hear about, or you can email podcast@roughstuffspecialties.com. Thank you. Thanks,
Yeah,
guys.
thank you.
Have a good one, guys.